promise I'll try to be as quick as possible, just before the cocktails. I represent work for the company called Piceasoft. What I'm going to be talking today is around device lifecycle solutions and how that it would be supporting in a retail environment and a repair store. There's elements of diagnostics, eraser, and also trading on that. Just a few words about the company itself and myself. So Piceasoft, a Finnish company, spin-off from Nokia 5 years ago. Actually, the core team and core technology used to be based on the Nokia PC suite. So whoever remembers that, going probably back nearly 10 years ago now. What we do have, in essence, very briefly, is our content transfer solution we call Switch. There is make model recognition called Verify, device diagnostics and also the safe eraser on that. That all can be combined as one reporting database, and also all these elements are individual elements supporting trading or can be used as a whole trading platform. As said, we're a fairly established company in Europe with good established operator client base. And some of the examples I'm going to give you and discuss are what we have learned, what we are working in especially in Europe and overseas markets. So based on that, some of the things might be different here, and apologize on that. However, it's what we have learned and some of the examples from there. When we get to some of the items, some of the challenges are happening currently in an operator world and a retail world, also in a repair segment as well. There is the cost of the device is increasing all the time. So to tackle against that, there is some sort of affordability programs run by OEMs, run by operators, run by even individual retail stores. There are, of course, especially for the operators, increased regulation, which is the roaming charges. When go internationally, operators can't actually charge that much. There is payment plans. There is restrictions of how long the contract you can actually type them, depending on the country. And again, not entirely sure about what's the situation in the US because you're probably the expert on that. However, there is a lot of those, also including IP methods like WhatsApp and Skype, where you can actually do the international calls more or less for free. All because of that, then it leads to RNA, retention acquisition budget, by operators, by retail companies are reducing those budgets. So the marketing, how much they can actually chip in for the new devices and all that. So all that is going to leading the kind of challenge, reducing the churn of customers and all that. So there is, of course, the wish list, increasing affordability programs, unlocking devices, reducing the cost through that. Going a bit more to the device side and the individual user side, there is elements of devices, performance issues, might be software issue, might be application issue. We call it repair avoidance. There is, of course, warranty issues as well, but then the increased dependability of the device is that it's more or less everything the user owns, everything is in that phone. So having that user being even one day without that device, that's horrible. Of course, no one wants that. The worst thing is if that person comes, if the phone goes to repair and you have to erase the phone completely and the user gets it back without any data. That's the worst thing ever happened. So of course that is leading to the situation where the customer retention might be an issue. So that they, of course, they don't think very happily about it, customers. So there's elements of like having the data being backed up somewhere. Users might not do that, but offering that. But to same extent, carriers, OEMs, or retailers, they want to have an independent solution. So operators don't want to be too close to any OEMs. Also, operators don't want to be too close to any of the platforms, including like iCloud backup. They might want their own backup to be offered. So all this is the kind of topics and challenges in this space. So if we go to that, the whole cycle of the device life cycle, there is, and I've associated it to products Piceasoft provides and how we can support that whole life cycle. So new device, when the customer comes to the store, they want to buy a new device. Of course, the best thing is to transfer all the content from old device to the new device. It can be cross-platform. Carrier wants to have that independent solution. They don't want to be selling only one OEM product or only one platform. There needs to be a freedom to choose whatever is the new device. So this is that switch. It could be leading that the reason why user is there is the annual upgrade program. It's a trade-in program, something like that. However, that's the first step, to switch all the transfer content to new phone. Potentially give them a backup option on that the phone is being backed up all the time. There is diagnostics for the insurance transactions, so that reduces the risk for whoever is running the insurance. It could be a carrier, it could be a repair, it could be retail themselves, that the phone which is insured is actually working fine when the insurance was taken. All the time there might be the cases, and many of you are running repair stores, so you know the situation, that the reason why this user comes in. Of course, if it's a physical damage, that's very obvious, but then there's a lot of repairs needed when there is nothing wrong, and that might lead to that NFF, non-fault found, repair avoidance. So you need the tools in a repair store to actually avoid all that. That then leads to better customer retention because they're happy they just visited the store. Even better, they would do that remotely. So of course, then everything is sorted very easily, and they're happy to get the new phone. And then that might leading to trade-in, annual upgrade, all that. So they get the good price from the old phone, they get the new phone. This is, operators call it affordability program, even leading to the situation where they don't own the device. But all those elements. So when this user gets to the store and wants to trade in the new phone, of course, data eraser is important, especially in Europe. European data protection law is getting quite tight. So user wants the data to be erased in store. They want to get the audit trail on that, so they know that the data's been erased. There's no problems on that. I would assume a lot of those laws will be effect here, and customers are more aware of that, so they would be willing to have these kind of situations as well. But all that is leading to the more safe transaction, the device being diagnosed, so the value is correct. It's been erased. The user knows it's been erased. There's less risk around that. So just to recap on some of that, as mentioned, what our solution would be doing is the fastest and easiest way to transfer all the solution in store. There is a backup available, easily be offered by independent cloud solution run by, for example, operator or retail stores. There is no data breach risk because the phone is being erased in store. There is no shipping containing data in the phone. There is a bigger chance to avoid any warranty repairs using diagnostics tools when there is like non-fault found. So reducing that rate, saving a lot of cost on that as well. And as going back to that, it's also customer retention. Customers are happier when they've been served, and there is no need to leave that whole their life to the store even for 1 hour. On that, and then all these elements supporting the full trading capabilities. Some of that avoiding that repair avoidance, also maybe trade-in diagnostics, insurance diagnostics is the other element. End user wants to have insurance to be taken halfway through the life cycle of that phone, so it's a second-hand phone. How's the insurance company, operator, repair, whoever is taking the risk in that case, making sure that the phone is not actually broken. Somebody is taking a broken insurance for the broken device, waiting for a week and claiming the insurance. It's happening. So easy, simple, remote diagnostics, on-device, application-based, online, could be supported from call center users who are not very techie savvy, so they could actually get that to be supported, or they just go to the retail, or ideally would go to the reporting back end. This is the element, and this is the scenario which a few European operators are looking to this scenario, that they would be running it. Of course, they would need, especially retail, they would need a separate and independent repair store. So some of you might be running a repair store for some operators and carriers. So they would be providing the tools, independent tools that could be used. But the reporting goes back to, and they know exactly what's happening, and they can monitor the retention, customer retention, because they know what is happening. If we talk about very briefly about the trade-in, and this is some of the numbers and figures which you can see up there, is there is one of the biggest European carriers, the figures from there, and so kind of the evolution, what it was. So there was always, the first one was a take back. So you were always, this probably goes back to mid-90s, cell phones started to get more popular. So then in the end, you were able to give the phone back. Sometimes you got some money on that, sometimes you didn't. But that was like more or less like a good feel factor. It's now a bit more economical, ecological to give it back. 2% potentially. 2 people out of 100 took that offer. They gave some old device back. There was a bit, just some, there wasn't enough financial benefit for them to do it. So then it was evolved obviously to the buyback. Buyback is what we are currently, there's a lot of buyback vendors. Well, there's currently a lot of buyback and trade-in vendors. More or less the first option is currently the boxes where you can see you can recycle your old electronic waste. So that's where the take back is currently. Buyback trade-in, in a buyback there's a simple list of pricing. Okay, I'll give you $100 for that phone, refund for buying the new device, or give it the money back. That's again, we're talking about, I don't know, 6 people out of 100 will take that deal at the moment. But when it goes to more towards the actual methodology, sorry, I can't, it's a difficult word this afternoon. More thorough trading process where there is proper diagnosing the device. That trading process could be online, so it's easy to do. You can run application-based. You can get the price straight away. Like application-based diagnostics that gives the price straight away. You know what you get. Then that will lead trading vendors to knowing what device you have, and they might push you messages saying that, hey, now there's a good offer for you. Of course, that's already increasing 14%, so 14 out of 100 people will take that. However, more importantly, 90% of those 14 people, and that's around 12, they are incremental business for that retailer or carrier. So meaning that they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't buy the new phone. They would probably stick with their old phone without that option. But in this case, they would actually buy. They will buy a better phone. They will finance their phone new purchase by trading in their old phone. That has kind of lead to the number 4, which I believe it's been here for a while. It's kind of this is the annual upgrade program. In an industry who's buying and who's operating it is kind of like future price commitment. If it's a 12 months, whoever is agreeing and buying that device back. So OEM is not necessarily buying it. OEM is not owing it. Somebody owns the phone while somebody else is using it, and then somebody else is buying it from that whoever was owning it. They might be assigned. It can be a financial institution, or it can be a recycling company then who's buying it combined together. So this is something that, as you can see, nearly 20% who went to the store, they are there because of that. It's easy way to buy something which they can't afford. They can't afford to buy it, but they will still get the new phone. They will then get upgraded to the new phone every year, every 2 years, and more or less 100% wouldn't buy that phone initially. So they don't actually they have an appetite for it, but they wouldn't buy it without these kind of programs. Which is kind of like leading to that evolution of all these data erasure, diagnostics, content transfer solutions Piceasoft is providing is helping them to have a better service while doing this. Here we going very briefly the typical retail trading journey. So this could be, when I say retail, it could be online retail. There's locking options. There is IMEI check. Sometimes even manual IMEI check. Quite often it will be checked by about the phone section. But and then with that IMEI check, there is a search of make, model, how much that would be costing. Then there is average, look up the physical appearance, whether there's any damage of the phone. There's a quote. There is a transactions being done if it's been agreed. So, of course, that leaves a lot of human error factor, involuntary human error factor or voluntary human error factor, meaning that, of course, if there is a damage and somebody is giving to the friend, working there as behind the counter, it's a human nature that not everyone is trustworthy. So unfortunately, that's the case. There are, briefly discussed earlier, so there are elements where Piceasoft can provide solutions for all of these steps. So on a web portal or even on a website, there is a quick make model recognition directly from motherboard. It's reading the device, it make and model. Not always the make and models are the same what they appear to be. Even that has been changing. IMEI lost and stolen check. It gives the more secure on that. There is diagnostic solutions. You can run automated tests. You run the interactive tests where you know exactly that the phone is working. That presents the quote. And moving on to the next, where all this information is then leading to the trading partners' back-end system. They know what's coming in. They know they can manage that. The way to kind of having that transaction, then later on they know quicker what's coming in, and they can kind of manage that process after, and they potentially have a buyer for that phone before it leaves the store. Important on that is a data eraser, so data can be erased in store without shipping anywhere. Some of the elements, there's a couple of, before we go to the live demonstration of our point of sale software, there's a couple of kind of case studies, but the story is how certain, this is a retail store in the Nordics, owned by a UK company, Dixons. So as you can see, when customer buys a new phone, they can switch all the content from old to new phone, and it costs 49 euros, and that's around $51. So $51 they get from every end user who wants to switch their content, and I think that's quite a lot of money. However, they have a huge number of customers doing that, so they make seven-figure. It's not a huge store chain even. It's 400, 500 stores, and they do make. It's a seven-figure sum of money what they make annually selling that service. Erasing data, so people are more and more conscious about the important data, so they want that to be safely erased. So they provide it for 29 euros, that's $30. They do provide that also for computers and so on, but $30 is, again, I think that's quite a lot of money, but there is no risk on that. So but it's still, for them, this is a service revenue, and for this particular retailer is fighting against the online retailers. They have online store, but it's the same. The problem is the same. It's not like here. It's Europe. Margins are very slim. It's hard to get people to the store. They're shopping around what's the cheapest way, and then they order from online. So in order to tackle against that is a service revenue. They have this backup to cloud, 78 euros annually. $80 to back up their data. Even that, like when there is a more or less free options of, it's not free, but iCloud is not expensive. Google backup is not expensive. The problem is people are not necessarily doing it. There's a lot of people, a lot of old people who doesn't know how to do it, but they are happy to pay the service. So just to, these are the examples of, like, in this particular store is actually doing quite a lot of service revenue, and that way kind of subsidizing the slim margins they get by selling the devices itself. Telenor, Norwegian operator, which is operating very globally, is a good example of that they want to have that multi-channel diagnostics. They operate in 15, 20 countries, and a lot of those are in Far East, Southeast Asia, Pakistan, Bangladesh, countries like that. So remote diagnostics is an option. There is bad connections, bad networks, so they need to have easily accessible for that. So having that multi-channel diagnostics is very key to them. And of course, they are key in the Nordics, where there's more people willing to buy something, extra services, providing this content transfer, and even diagnostics by the money. So they do charge that in Sweden, that people can run diagnostics for the phone. And then lastly, as an example of this, is Swisscom. Swisscom, on this new phone phase, when somebody is transferring the content, they actually charge per content. They do small contact details, and I think even SMS and call logs for free, and everything after that will cost them. And they can go up to $130 per that transfer. So if you can imagine, you could charge somebody $130 when they buy a new phone. Well, Swisscom can in Switzerland. and they've been, because of that, again, subsidizing the low margins, keeping the customer happy, having a better customer retention on that. What we're going to do now before any questions, and I'm happy to do that, is this is not necessarily thank yous yet, but what we're going to do is we're going to run live demonstration of our software very briefly on the point of sale, and my colleague Melo, who's US partner, so he's actually based in Dallas, so hasn't come all the way from Finland, so he will run demonstration on that software. So if we, yes, we are on.
Can you guys hear me okay? My microphone on?
No. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, I think so. Awesome. All right. So thanks for coming out here. I'm Mello. I'm with Tull Traders, and we represent Piceasoft here in the US. Just wanted to do a quick demo for you guys to show you a little bit more concrete, you know, what Pasi has been talking about. The software we're talking about here is the retail version, so software that you can use in your store to help your customers, maybe do some upselling, but also provide some services that they really need, like the secure data arrays that Pasi was talking about. Software comes in 4 modules. You can buy them together or separate. First one is Switch, which is the personal content transfer. Next one is Erase, the secure erase. They have the diagnostics, like Pasi was already mentioning, and then Verify, which does the checks on, do you have a Google account still on your device? Do you have Find My iPhone? Is there still a SIM in the device? Is there still an SD card in there? Or even optionally, is that a stolen device that you're looking at? So what I want to do is, I think I'm going to go into Switch first. Need to push a few buttons here. I have 2 phones here, a ZTE phone and an iPhone. So here the idea is you have a customer that comes into your store and maybe is looking at your, quite a few of the retail stores sell used phones, right, to their customers. So they want to buy one of those, and they want to also transfer their personal content, their contacts, their pictures, their photos from their old phone to their new phone. So you can offer that through this product if you want to, and so in certain countries they charge for that. I'm not sure you want to do that here. You just want to provide that good customer experience so they come back later too, right, when they want to need a repair from you, so that, you know, they know these folks are going to help me do the right thing there. So here we have, I have 2 devices connected. I'm going to swap them around real quick. There we go. And I have some content on the iPhone here. So I'm showing here from iOS to Android, right? This tool will allow you to do that content transfer from different platforms, from iOS to Android. So you don't have to talk to the customer and say, hey, download this app here, you know, and then start transferring your content. Don't do a backup to the AT&T cloud, you know, which are usually incomplete. It's hard to use, and there's always these little details that make it, you know, just not work well. With this solution, you know, it'll work great. Okay, waiting here for, I'm just going to disconnect this one real quick. There we go. Takes a second to get connected here. I'll hit close here. Okay, it scans the phone. I just have a little bit of content on here. It's reading some more device content. There we go. So, and then once it's done with that, it's going to recognize, okay, what content can we transfer? So Apple wouldn't allow you to transfer music from their iTunes, you know, box to another device, right? So it's not going to allow you to do that. Let's see what we got going on here. I had this laptop sitting here for a while, so I think I'm going to have to just reconnect real quick. I know I'm between, or I'm the guy between your now and your drinks, right? So I don't want to waste your time too much here. Okay, so now I can scan both here. Okay, so it's showing you what you can transfer, right? So, for example, you have contacts, calendars, messages can all be transferred. If I had photos on this this iPhone here, those would show up as well. You can transfer videos. Apps, of course, you cannot transfer. If there were documents like PDF documents, you can transfer those as well. So it's actually a very fast process to do that. I'm not going to. Well, actually, you know what? I'm going to just hit Start Transfer here. There we go. Okay, it gives you a few prompts on the device because it needs to take control of, for example, the SMS app to transfer the messages. And then it does it. Okay, and we're done. And it gives you a little report too of the content you want to transfer. Of course, this is a pretty small example. I don't want to, spend too much time on, larger amounts of content transfer. But a very fast solution. I think it's been benchmarked as one of the fastest out in the market. So, one way you can help your customer, right, when they come in with their phone. The other ones are maybe something you would be using more in a repair store. We have the Verify. Why don't we go there real quick? Verify, like I said, it verifies whether a device that you have is ready to be traded in, right? So it does some checks here. Is your Find My iPhone turned off, right? If a customer comes to you and they're trading in their phone, Find My iPhone is still on, you do an erase on it, you just have a piece of hardware that you can only use for scrap. You can't use it for anything else because, you don't know the credentials of that person. It does other checks too. Make sure there's no SIM card in there. Make sure there's no SD card in there. Those are things that are often forgotten, right? Customers leave those things with you, and then their data in a way is breached, and you don't want that to happen. So just a very quick way to do some basic checks on there. What Verify can also do, like I think Pasi already mentioned, it can check the IMEI of the device against the GSMA stolen device database. So if it's been reported by one of the operators, like AT&T or Verizon, as a stolen device, then that'll pop up here as well. That maybe that's not a device that you want to take in for your buyback or for your trade-in purposes. All right, let's go to diagnostics here. Let's take a look at the iPhone. I'm not going to run the test for you right now because that takes a little bit, and it's mostly visible on the iPhone screen. However, what I did want to point out is, and I know I've talked to some of you already downstairs at our stand. A customer comes into your store, right? They have a broken screen, so you could say, okay, well, let's repair the broken screen for you, right? That's pretty straightforward. However, you might want to have a discussion with the customer on maybe how else you can help them. So if you look, for example, here, it provides you battery details. So you can, and it shows you here, this device has gone through 616 cycles, meaning draining the battery and back, right? Which is beyond what is normally, recommended or standard for a battery. It also shows you what the capacity of the battery is. So it gives you a quick view of the battery condition. So you can then talk with your customer, hey, maybe you want to think about, doing an upgrade on your, for your battery. So you have an upsell opportunity there, right? It's not just fixing that screen, it's also being able to have a discussion with them on what else you can do for them. And that's, to me at least, where the diagnostics comes into play as well. It's easy to run, it's quick to run. There's some automatic tests that you can run. There's interactive tests. You can do it together with the customer. You can run through them. I'm not going to do that here. But it gives you, again, the opportunity. Maybe you'll see some buttons are not working right, or maybe the USB port is not working well, or the audio port is not working well. Again, you can talk with the customer about that then. I'll show you some reporting as well. So this is just an example of the reports that come out of it. A bit technical, but it helps for your administration. You have a record of what you did. And I know some of the repair stores, what they do is customer comes in, they run the diagnostics, they show it to the customer, right? Customer leaves it there, they do a repair. Customer comes back to pick it up, they run the diagnostics again, and then they can show the report, they can give it to the customer, and customer has the confidence, okay, this repair was actually done. okay? Also, the reports are stored either on your computer where you run it or on the server, so you have an audit trace available as well. I'll talk a little bit more about that in relation to the arrays. But so, you have more to give the confidence to your customer that the work was done that you promised that was going to be done. This is kind of what the report looks like. You know, it will give you some results. It'll show you also who did it. In this case, it's showing here Tull Traders. But you know, you can do that per store, so you can make it also traceable what work was done at which store. Okay. Let me go back real quick to the volume side. So that's on the diagnostic side. And then finally, I wanted to show you a real eraser. Again, I'm not going to do an erase because you're just going to have to sit through that, and that would not be the best way to spend your time here. But so before you start the erase, again, it does that verify again. It sees, okay, there's a SIM card in there. Not a big deal, but you can run it. If you have accounts on there still active, like Find My iPhone, it'll block you from doing the erase. You want to talk with the customer and make sure they deactivate that account first, right? Or deactivate that feature for that phone, for that account, so that they can, you know, so that you can then do the erase for them and take the device back in without winding up with the device that you can't sell later on. Okay. On the erase side, I just wanted to mention, and Pasi talked about that as well. So Piceasoft is one of the few that certifies their erasure to be 100% secure erase, meaning no customer data will be on there. It's not just a factory reset. Okay, on the Android side, what they do is they override all the user memory. They do it twice, and then they do the factory reset on there. On iOS, the phone gets reflashed, so the software gets rewritten on there. Okay, so and then what Piceasoft does as well, annually they talk with the company, I believe it's in Britain, right, ADISA, they get the ADISA certification, so that certifies by a third party that this software is guaranteed to provide that full erasure. For you too, you will have the reporting, so you will have the audit trail. So if an issue comes up later, you can show, well, we did this in our store, so you have proof that the device was securely erased. So if a customer comes back later and says, hey, you know, my personal data was leaked, or my pictures were leaked, you will have proof in your hand that, well, it wasn't us that leaked that data, that was leaked somehow else, right? By the reporting, by the audit trail, and then also with the certifications to back that up. Okay? I think that's just a real quick overview. We are downstairs in the hall in stand 614. If you haven't come by yet, come by. We're running a promo on the software during MWC Americas. We have a free trial software as well that you can try to use, or that you can use to evaluate the software, and you know, you can use it for 2 weeks, and we'll still honor that promo after that as well. I think that's where I'm going to leave.